Hello, Laverne here. Thank you for joining me. In this video, I'm going to be talking about two dreams and a vision that I had some time ago. They are the things that led me to making videos. I talked about this a bit in my last video, and I shared in that one that I'd be talking about these dreams. Now, the first dream I had, it was in a church setting, and in particular my church. They were having some kind of social event. Now, the church I belonged to was a fairly large church. It was evangelical, non-denominational type. They preached the by word of faith message, along with a whole prosperity thing, the health, wealth, and prosperity message. Now, everybody was enjoying themselves at this social event. But then two people came on the scene. But they were different from everybody else because they actually had the form of dinosaurs. They walked on 2 feet. They had 2 arms and hands, but they looked like 2 dinosaurs, one a little bigger than the other, and they were of different type of dinosaur, but they certainly looked like dinosaurs. And they started talking and giving a message of sorts, and people were listening to them, and I don't know, it was kind of a feeling of disbelief. But then when they left through the ceiling, up through the sky kind of thing, and the smaller one, spewed a kind of acid onto the walls. And it made it so that nobody could follow after them. So once they were gone, couldn't follow them. Now the thing is, after they left, everybody was full of fear, and we wanted to be able to follow after them, for it seemed like they had taken something from us. So there was this sense of fear, sense of loss, and we wanted to follow after them but couldn't. Well, I didn't understand the message right away. It took some time. I had to fast and pray on it, but eventually I was led to the meaning of the dream. You see, the 2 people who were as dinosaurs, like dinosaurs, they represent the 2 prophets of old that are mentioned in Revelations. They are the 2 witnesses that are going to be returning. And they were giving a message to an apostate church that did not receive it. These 2 witnesses were rebuking the church, this one that I belong to. And it was not well received. These 2 witnesses were rejected. And so when they left, they made it impossible for anybody to follow after them. So this is showing me that the message of the 2 witnesses, that when they return, it's going to be one directed towards the church, that they are going to be wearing sackcloth because of the condition of the bride. The sackcloth is going to be worn because of the sorrow that they are going to feel. They are going to be feeling deep sorrow because of the condition of the church and the apostate churches. Now, the second dream I had, it was simply a hand that had this large branch with a lot of smaller branches branching off of it. And another hand came along and started breaking off branches from it and just tossing them on the ground. Well, after a bit, another hand came along and tried to reattach these branches that were thrown on the ground. They picked them up and tried to graft them back on. When that didn't work, they grabbed some string and they tried to tie these broken off branches to it, but could not. Well, after waking up from this dream, it didn't take me nearly as long to discern what this dream was about. For the large branch was the vine of Christ. And what he was doing, he was pruning off branches and tossing them on the ground, and they were dead wood. So this is Christ pruning off the dead wood, and the dead wood, that being the apostate churches, those churches which are being deemed unworthy and unspiritual. Those churches that are spiritually dead. These are the kind of churches that Jesus talks about in Revelations. He warns that these churches must repent of their ways and get back to the ways that they were in the beginning. But the ones that he prunes off are the ones that refuse to change, refuse to teach correct doctrine. They believed that they were full of fire, full of spirit, but they were not. So that was the second dream. The third one wasn't so much a dream as a vision. It happened while I was taking part in a prayer session in a smaller church that I belonged to. What we would do is go out and do street ministry, but before doing that we would gather for an hour and a half beforehand. We would pray individually for a while and then as a group. So we were in this circle. Like, this is not the dream yet. This is something that was actually what I was doing. We were in this prayer circle and praying. And I started having this vision. This vision was of a bunch of roads that came together, half a dozen roads or so, and they all met in the center. And in the center was a signpost. And at the top of the signpost there were different signs, all pointing to each of these different roads. So it was like, kind of like, all these different signposts. Or one signpost, but different signs at the top. But each sign said it led to heaven. So the idea was that all these roads that left from the center, all claiming to lead to heaven and going in different directions. But then a rope was thrown onto the top of this signpost, and this signpost was pulled down. It didn't take long for me to know what this vision was about. This was showing me all the different lies, all the different doctrines that are out there. And I'm not talking about New Age doctrines and that kind of thing. I'm talking about church doctrine. All the different church doctrines that say that their way leads to heaven. But they were being pulled down. They were pulled down. And this is in relation to the other two dreams. That we are coming to a period when the two witnesses are going to return. And the true gospel is going to be taught. But it is going to be rejected by the main body of the bride. Most churches will reject it. They will want to remain with their own doctrine, and they will not recognize the truth as it is being taught. And Jesus will be pruning these churches. He will cast them off and cast them down, and they will be nothing but firewood. So we need to make sure that we are belonging to the right church, to the true church, the one that is teaching the right doctrine, true doctrine, one that leads to heaven, that narrow path that we all want to be on. But the narrow path that so many people are not on because they are following the false doctrines and teachings that are out there. So this is my warning. It's a warning that we need to make sure we are not part of those apostate churches that are stripped down. Those churches are going to be rebuked, are going to be tore off of the vine. You want to make sure you are part of that vine and not part of the dead wood that is pruned off. So I'm asking you to make sure. I'm not going to get into what the false doctrines are in this video, but the time is coming. It's not that far away. And you don't want to be a part of those apostate churches. All right. Till next time, peace and blessings.